Hello again from Lambeau Field. The 2016 NFL Draft is in the books. General Manager Ted Thompson supervising his 12th draft as the leader of the pack. He had 9 picks going in, comes out with 7. And as Ted usually says, we just kind of let the board work for itself and take the best player available. But he did pull one big trade in round number 2, costing him a pair of draft choices to get an offensive player he really coveted. And he finished the day by bolstering the defense and adding a wide receiver. Head coach Mike McCarthy said his only hope going into the draft was to get bigger. And they have. 4 of their 7 picks are bigs, 300-pounders plus, 2 on the defensive line, 2 on the offensive line. So 7 draft choices in the 2016 draft class will be joined by another dozen or so undrafted free agents who will be arriving from all parts of the country to come to Green Bay for a rookie orientation camp next week. And then their next stop will be the tunnel that leads out onto the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And the Packers draft class is going to be a very interesting mix of defensive and offensive linemen. That begins with Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle from UCLA, the 27th player chosen overall by Ted Thompson. He's been going defense at the top of his draft board for 5 years in a row now, and it's the second time in 3 seasons he's gone to the Bruins for a number 1 pick, adding Dayton Jones in 2013. Clark, a very productive all Pac-12 performer for the Bruins on that defensive line. He could be an immediate starter considering B.J. Raji is on retirement hiatus. Kenny Clark could get right into the mix right away for the Packers. And in the second round is a player that Ted Thompson did not want to let get away. Offensive tackle Jason Spriggs from Indiana University, an all Big Ten performer, a 4-year starter on the offensive line for the Hoosiers. Packers were sitting at the 57th choice overall, and he was getting a little antsy, and he decided to pull the trigger on a trade with the Indianapolis Colts to move up 9 spots to select Spriggs at number 48. Cost Thompson a 4th-round choice and a 7th-round choice to move up, but he got a tackle that he thinks is going to get into the mix, maybe sooner rather than later. But we'll talk about that offensive line issue in a minute. In the 3rd round, the Packers took a linebacker that probably not a lot of people heard of, and that is Kyler Thakkaral of Utah State. He is a 6'5", 250-pound linebacker that was a speed edge rusher. He has good length, but there's some questions about his coverage ability. But as the Packers defensive staff was saying over the weekend, you cannot have enough good pass rushers. Thakkaral could get into the mix at outside linebacker for Green Bay. And that drove us to Saturday's final round, and the Packers had 2 choices remaining in the 4th round after making that deal to get Jason Spriggs. And with the first of those choices, they took another linebacker from Stanford University. And Blake Martinez was the middle linebacker for the Cardinal, who piled up 141 tackles. He was an all Pac-12 first-team linebacker, and he also played a lot in coverage. And that's a key point for a position that everyone seemed to think was the number 1 priority for the Packers going into this draft. An inside linebacker who could play tough against the run, but also stay on the field in 2nd, 3rd, and maybe even 4th down situations. They think Martinez has a possibility to fit that bill. Also in the 4th round, the Packers went with their 3rd big player of the weekend, Dean Lowrey, the defensive end from Northwestern University, all Big Ten performer. He is another 6'6", 300-pounder. Lowrey was one of the captains on the Wildcats as well, and a very well-respected leader in that locker room. In round number 5, the Packers felt the need for speed, and they went and got a wide receiver from Cal, Trevor Davis, a blistering 4.36 at the combine. Caught only 40 passes, but he caught those balls from the number 1 overall pick in the draft, Jared Goff, Cal kid who went to the Los Angeles Rams, and Davis now thrilled to be catching passes from another Cal alum in Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. And the Packers finished up the draft by going back to the Pac-12. 4 of their choices are Packers 12 players, and that is Kyle Murphy, an offensive tackle from Stanford. Started on the right side as a junior, left side as a senior, another all Pac-12 performer. Those 2 offensive linemen, insurance for this year because injuries ruined the Packers' chances down the stretch last season. They tried Don Barkley when David Bakhtiari got hurt, didn't work. They tried Josh Sitton, that was an abject failure. J.C. Treader finally stepped in and kind of calmed things down until everybody got well for the playoffs, but it wasn't nearly enough. So those 2 tackles, Spriggs and Murphy, will provide insurance help in 2016. More importantly, real insurance in 2017 for the contracts of Bakhtiari, TJ Lang, and Sitton all expire after this season for the Packers, and it's inevitable Green Bay won't be able to sign all three. So one of these two drafted tackles may jump right into the starting lineup sooner rather than later. The 2016 draft class for the Green Bay Packers. From Lambeau Field, I'm Mark Daniels.